Yeah, starting right on time. What is going on? You guys are checking out an all new the RCWR show covering the latest in wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. One and only Lee Sanders here. Thank you guys so much for checking out this episode coming at you guys for Tuesday night of September the 25th, 2018. Hope you guys have been having a solid week so far. I know we got the Mix Max Challenge that's on right now. I sadly did not watch last week's premiere episode, so I've got basically 2 episodes to catch up on. I'm actually going to catch up on both of them as soon as this show is over so that I can at least talk about it. What I'll probably end up doing, I'll probably give some reactions for our Patreon members this coming Wednesday, but I'll definitely follow up on next Tuesday's RCWR show. But I can tell you this much, I did see a little bit of highlights online, like not matches themselves, but just a little bit of a semi-package of some of the action that's been coming about so far. And I gotta say, I loved what I had saw. It kind of seemed like they were following up literally from the same formula that they were doing from the last season just a couple of months ago. So I'm actually pretty ecstatic. I do plan on checking it out because it was well received when it had premiered. And I just thought it was going to be one of those type of shows you just were going to be able to pass, right? And no, it had received a lot of buzz, a lot of great feedback. So I definitely plan on checking it out. And we'll definitely talk about it here with you guys on next Tuesday's show. So you guys got to forgive me, but truth be told, I was not going to do a show for you guys tonight. I was going kind of back and forth on it, but what kind of sealed the deal for me is that I have a responsibility to some of the new advertisers that had came on board, and they're expecting to hear their promotions and brands being put over on tonight's episode. So yeah, otherwise I was going to take the night off. I am really not feeling that well. It's so weird because one of my coworkers had came to work on Monday, and she had complained about how sick she was, how she really didn't feel like coming in. And I've personally found out, maybe it's tied to my type 2 diabetes, I don't know. But I've personally found that whenever I'm around somebody that is sick, like even though I maybe disinfect all the areas that I know, okay, well, this person touched it because we have to touch this as well. I thought that I had disinfected everything that this person may have touched, but I kind of noticed maybe a couple of hours after I had got home Monday, I was feeling a little bit sluggish, felt a little bit dizzy, lightheaded, and I also kind of felt like a serious loss of an appetite. So I was kind of going, what the hell is going on? And wee hours of the night going into Tuesday, I kept going to the bathroom. Had a serious case of, you name it. I was doing number 1 and I was doing number 2, but I was mostly doing number 2. And I'm going, wait, man, something's not, what the hell's going on here? Once in a blue moon, my medicine will make me do that type of stuff, especially with number 2. You know, you guys that are type 2 diabetics, you know how it is with that medicine. But this kind of felt like a different kind of sick. And then when I finally was able to get some type of sleep, I woke up earlier today and I just felt like the room was spinning, had like a serious headache. Actually, I woke up in a cold sweat and I just was like, and I was dragging. So I gave my boss a heads up, told him I wasn't going to be able to come in, and I pretty much took like 2 shots of NyQuil, went under the covers and pretty much was sweating it out. So I mean, I feel a little bit better than yesterday, but if you ask me honestly, I really was just gonna take the whole week off and not do anything. But I didn't want to leave you guys hanging, and I most certainly didn't want to leave our Patreon members hanging, although I can understand how, I can understand our Patreon members. They definitely would feel where I'm coming from, and I know they would totally be understandable, and they would cut me some fucking slack. But I just didn't want to leave anybody hanging, so I figured maybe after tonight, hopefully, I won't say out of the woods Wednesday, but hopefully before Friday, I can really flush this out, because we've got a lot of great content, if you're a wrestling fan, that's going to be coming up in the next couple of weeks. So I don't really want to be hindered right now with this little virus, flu bug, whatever it is that's going on right now, man, seriously. But yeah, so I mean, other than my little flu bug crap that's going on, I hope you guys have been okay. Had a pretty interesting weekend before all that flu bug crap went around. Which, by the way, I gotta say, please, America, if you're sick, just stay at home. I can't stress that enough. Like, I appreciate you guys that are trying to be soldiers and you're trying to soldier on through your sickness and all of that, because it's like, well, I need the money or whatever your reasons are for coming into work. But I can't stress it enough. The best thing you can do is just stay at home when you know you are sick. It's just not fair to everybody else that is not sick, that's not looking to get sick. I can't stress that enough. But wild roller coaster of a week, pretty much last week going into now. I mean, we're not even at Wednesday yet. We will be in a couple of hours, but you know, it's just been crazy what went down last week and then going into this week. And it's kind of like, well, what else is going to be piled on before the week is out, right? But we're going to try to dissect some of this stuff that had went down since last we were on the air. But as I was kind of alluding to earlier, even though I kind of really did not want to do the show tonight, what I am going to do, and I actually have an alarm set on my phone, we're going to do a short show tonight. I know you guys are probably accustomed to the whole, you know, 2 hour spill, 2 hour plus spill, but to make sure that I'm in the bed at a decent hour, I'm looking to have the show pretty much be an hour to maybe an hour 15 tops. So you guys got to forgive me if on this episode I really don't, you know, pay attention to what you guys are saying in the chat and things of that nature. I want to just power through, and depending on how much time is left, if there's some notable comments in the chat, then, you know, maybe I'll give a little bit of a nod. But I want to just power through this episode, tell you about some stuff that's been on my mind, and pretty much go from there, right? So probably one of the biggest pieces of news that's come about since last we were on the air is America's dad, or he once was dubbed America's dad, America's TV dad, Bill Cosby. He was sentenced today out in Pennsylvania. He is going to be serving a minimum of 3 years, but no more than a maximum of 10 years for the crime that had took place. I've been paying attention to this since all of this had first broke out. And earlier today, you got to rewind it back. It was pretty much less than 2 hours after being designated a sexually violent predator. Bill Cosby, he was sentenced 3 to 10 years in prison by a Pennsylvania judge after being convicted for the 2004 rape of former Temple University employee Andrea Constead. And the Judge Stephen O'Neill, had said earlier today, and I quote, Cosby will serve no less than 3 years and no more than 10 years, adding that the actor must also pay a fine and he has to handle court costs. So, I mean, this has been 3 years in the making, all the back and forth. Remember the first trial, it pretty much ended in a hung jury, if you will, slash, well, I mean, I won't really say hung jury, let's call it for what, no, I'm gonna say, call it what it was. It was either a hung jury or not guilty, whatever you want to call it. He got off the hook. We all could be in agreement that the first go round, no conviction, but the second go round, he was found guilty. He was found guilty of all 3 counts in this retrial. And almost as soon as this sentence was read, Cosby was taken in handcuffs. His lawyers, they tried to move a motion for bail pending an appeal. The judge took a very, and I do mean a very brief moment to think about it. And then the judge said, you know what? No, I'm not going to afford your client that luxury because that's preferential treatment. And no, I'm not going to go that route. And I tell you, when the judge was laying down the sentencing to Mr. Cosby, the judge pretty much drilled it home, because Cosby's defense team was basically coming in with the standpoint of, hey, look, he's a pillar to his community. He's a pillar to the black community in particular. look at all of the great work he's done with communities. And when you think about philanthropy, Bill Cosby is the face of that. You know, his name, which is his brand, has done so much positive things, has made an impact on so many lives. They tried to basically go off of that. And the judge, pretty much, as he was talking directly to Cosby earlier today during the sentencing, pretty much bringing it on home that, hey, your philanthropy, you know, your business endeavors, all of that, pretty much it doesn't mean anything. You committed a crime. You have been committing crimes for an extended period of time, for almost decades, and it's now time you pay for that crime, right? So he's been sentenced. And you know, I'm like this. I've seen so many interesting comments that's been coming in back and forth on all of this. And let me tell you, I remember when the news had first came about, I remember posting just little flyers in the break room, right? And just really sharing the news of what was going on with Cosby. I remember one of the pieces of news I had shared was over here in the DMV, Ben's Chili Bowl, which if anybody has been following DC news and the connection that Bill Cosby has to Ben's Chili Bowl out here, originally Bill Cosby's face was on the mural of the Ben's Chili Bowl. When I say the Ben's Chili Bowl, the very first Ben's Chili Bowl that was ever built. It's on 13th and U Street in Northwest DC, and it has been there, I mean, years upon years upon years. Pretty much almost goes back to the old riot days right after the MLK assassination. I mean, it's been there pretty much that long, a Stapleton, and they've expanded since then. They have another location in Northeast DC that they opened up, and then they also have another location that I want to say they opened up in Arlington, right? I've seen so many people that wanted to chime in on this and, oh, it's unfair, oh, it's lies, oh, it's bullshit, oh, it's this. And you know, let me tell you something. And we even had the discussion going on via the Facebook page, right? And this isn't so much about, you know, we all have so much of passionate opinions, and that's what makes this country of ours, America, so beautiful, is that when we disagree about something, for the most part, we're very passionate about why we feel the way that we feel. And worst case scenario, we have a meeting of the minds, and you know what, at the end of the day, it's okay to disagree, right? But respect your opinion, respect my opinion. But me hearing so many people talk about this, and I've been following this since day one, even saying my 2 cents on Facebook, you know, the amount of people that are like, oh my God, this is so sad. You know, he shouldn't be going to jail. To even his publicist saying, oh, this is racist, what's going on? Look, man, I've seen a lot of shit in my lifetime, and I don't believe for one hot second that all of this stuff that is going on with Cosby, I don't believe it's racially motivated in any type of way. Hear me out for a second. Does anybody remember what had went down? We're talking politics here. Does anybody remember what had went down with Thomas? What was it, Clarence Thomas? And you had that woman that had stepped forward and talked about the sexual harassment that she had received. And then she went into explicit detail on what Thomas was saying. Look it up if you don't know your history, okay? This went down in the early 90s, all right? Whether most Americans want to admit it or not, there are women that are being sexually, verbally abused and assaulted every day. That is the God's to honest truth, okay? Now, let me tell you something. If you present to me one person that says, hey, you know what? This is what happened 20 something years ago, And as a result of that happening 20 something years ago, you know, I just now found the courage to come forward and say, hey, this person had assaulted me. You know, this is what they had did. I was embarrassed because I didn't want my family to know about this. I just wanted to move on with my life. But I really haven't been able to find any type of solace and comfort knowing that this person is out here doing what they're doing. So you have one person that comes forward. And you compare that one person to the track record of that celebrity, that athlete, or that individual who jumped out there and did what they did, right? This person saying what they're saying against this other person, right? Okay, well, man, this person has a perfect track record, never gotten in trouble with the law. Like, everybody's been saying nothing but really great things about them. And now we're supposed to take what this person had said over here. We're supposed to take that. That's supposed to have weight to it. And that's usually, as our society, that's usually how we operate. Get out of here. But then what do you say, honestly, when a second person comes forth? When a third person, when a fourth person, when a fifth person, and, you know, and the number just keeps growing until not only are you in double digits, but you have damn near at least 25 individuals that have somehow found the courage to come forth and say, hey, I'm not the only one that had fell victim to this person's, heinous behavior, despicable behavior, right? And you guys got to understand something. This Me Too movement that had came about, it has really shaken up the core in a positive way of women that maybe were born in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, right? Saying, okay, you know what? I had this happen to me, you know, years back, 20, 30 years back. And they're seeing how the culture has changed. They're seeing how now social media handles stories like this. Now more than ever, we are in a day and age where it's okay if something despicable and heinous happened to you. It's okay to not only speak up and point the finger at that individual. Shout out to Terry Crews. Terry Crews getting groped by that despicable Hollywood guy. And here was a case where Terry Crews could have just kept right on going, but he stuck to his convictions. He listened to his heart and he rode that bad boy all the way. May have not gotten the results that he wanted, right? But when you just look at the shift in our culture today, let me tell you something. As someone that is a product child of the 80s and talking with my parents and my grandparents, you didn't see this type of stuff. If a woman had got sexually assaulted, harassed, she was silent about it. It's no different than, I'm sure you guys, especially you all that have brushed up on your American history, in particular how blacks were treated back in the slavery days and all that. I'm sure you all have heard of stories where black women back in the day used to be raped by white men. And those black women were told, don't you tell anybody, because if you tell somebody, I'm going to kill you. And if a situation had occurred where that black woman had got pregnant with that white man's kid, that white man did not take responsibility for that child. Okay? That mother was left alone as a single parent with that child that was a product child of rape. Okay? So you have these women back in the day that go through some of these despicable, heinous acts that I'm talking about. And you're like, damn, you know, and look at the culture that was going on at that time. Black people were being killed just because of the color of their skin. They could just be walking down the street and a truck full of white boys just pull on up. Hey, come here. And they get killed. They get harassed, all that shit. Harassed, beat up, killed, hanged, you name it. Okay? So when you look at all of this stuff that went down back in the day, And you fast forward all the way to now, and you look at how our culture is basically saying, nah, man, this type of stuff that's going on, that's heinous, that's despicable. We need to be better than that as a society. We are better than that. We need to set the example. This might have been cool for our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, but not us. We're not going to tolerate this. We know this is wrong, and we're putting our foot down, right? So you have these women who, you know, maybe back in the day experienced some type of form of harassment, but remained silent. Anybody that's followed my 30 with Lee series, you know how much of a big movie buff I am, especially of the old golden age days. You constantly would hear of stories of some of the best actors and actresses in the golden age of cinema, that the only way some of them could excel in their movie careers, they had to do sexual favors, sexual acts, all in the name of trying to move up, right? And so this was like a unsung, you know, everybody knew about it, but they didn't want to tackle it. They knew it was wrong, but it was like, well, if you try to do something, if you try to be vocal, you're blacklisted in Hollywood. You'll never work in Hollywood again, right? So when you look at all the forms of entertainment, and you look at how far along our society has come from certain scandals, and you see this point that we're at right now, I believe that these women, be it 3 years ago, that really got the ball rolling, they took a look at that current culture that we have that's continuing to grow and said, okay, well, look, I no longer want to be a victim in silence. I want to talk about what had went down with me. And now look, could you maybe say for however many women that came forward that some of them were maybe questionable? Yeah, you could maybe say some of the women that came forth, couple of holes in your story. But do I believe in my heart of hearts that there are legit victims of Cosby? Yes, I do believe that legitimately there are victims of Cosby. I do believe, I mean, look, for me, and what I find so amazing, everybody gave Cosby a pass when he had the love child that he had outside of wedlock. I mean, has anybody forgotten about that? I mean, he went years upon years providing financial assistance to a child that he did not have with his wife, that he had with another woman. Nobody's talking about that, right? But he had a child with another woman and tried to keep it on the hush, not just from the news media, but he also tried to keep it on the hush from his own wife for many years. And yet there were pictures of Cosby, you know, with this woman that he had conceived this child with. There were many photos that were surfacing of Cosby with this woman and the kid, with the kid many times, until finally you had some news reporters that were able to find a little dirt, and oh wow, turns out this is his kid. And I didn't really see anybody try to defend Cosby on that standpoint, right? And to Beyonce's Mega Man in the chat room, we are not saying cheating on your wife isn't rape, you idiot. You're putting words in my mouth. I did not say anything about cheating on your wife isn't rape. What I am saying by bringing up that point, Beyonce's Mega Man in the chat, I am talking about as far as Bill Cosby not being perfect. That for me was the first flag of, hey, something is not quite right here. Treat me with respect. If you are not going to give me the respect that I rightfully deserve, please leave the chat room now or you will be kicked out. I value everybody's opinion on this matter and all topics that I cover on my show every single week. But one thing that I demand and I command is respect, because I do my very best to respect every single one of you every single week. You have no idea how much I appreciate you guys. You check out my show, be it live, on demand, on the downloads. I appreciate you guys. But any longtime listener knows I don't put up with that shit. If you're gonna put me down, if you're gonna throw insults, get the fuck out, because I will kick your ass out and I will ban you. This is your one and only warning. I respect all opinions, but respect the people in the chat, and most importantly, respect me. Now then, for me, personally, as a man that has grown up on Bill Cosby, watching what went down with that first controversy, that first scandal of him and this whole, hey, turns out he has a child. That for me was my indication, even though I was pretty young, in seeing this news play about, I said, wow, well, it just goes to show you not everybody is perfect. And this is the thing that I've noticed. Heaven forbid you have an icon, a TV icon, an actor, a celebrity, an athlete that you look up to day in and day out. You eat, sleep, breathe, everything that they touch, everything that they do. Heaven forbid a situation occurs where some controversy comes about where they are no longer perfect in your eyes. Because to admit that that celebrity, that athlete, that celebrity that you grew up on, that you were infatuated with, that was a big part of your childhood growing up, to admit that that individual has faults, is admitting that you and our entire society is not perfect. Whether some of you want to admit it or not, you guys need to face facts. There's always an old saying, never meet your idols in person, because you'll always be disappointed in real life. Charles Barkley has said, hey, look, I'm not a role model. I never planned on being a role model. I'm not a role model. Don't look up to me as a role model. No. And that couldn't be any more further from the truth. Okay? Yeah, this man entertained millions of people. Yes, this man has, yes, nobody is disputing that. But flying the fuck, what the hell are you supposed to say to yourself when you have X amount of women that has come forth and said, hey, this is what went down with us. Now look, we don't know all the information that's available, but you would like to believe that the prosecution, the defense, the jury, of all people that have been basically going over everything, the testimony, everything, you would like to believe that, okay, well, you know what? If they found this guy guilty for these crimes, maybe they know something that we don't. And until that information is given, I don't know, say by the judge, say by the jury, then what the hell? You know? Then what the hell? And Beyonce in the chat, it's not about getting mad at you. If I'm going to get mad at you for anything, you call me an idiot. And I don't call people idiots. Anybody that's been a long time listener, I don't call people idiots. I don't call people stupid. Once in a blue moon, I may say that comment, that's a stupid comment. But don't get my words twisted. I'm coming at you because you're not showing me respect. It's okay if you want to disagree, but show respect. That's all. That's simple. Treat people the way you want to be treated. And if you want respect, you got to put it out there. That's the only way you're going to be able to give it back. Right? Now, anybody remember the TV show Seventh Heaven? Anybody remember the dad that did what he had did to, I believe it was 3 kids? Last incident that had went down was sometime in the 90s. Look that up. That guy's been blacklisted from Hollywood since then. Since then. Anybody that was a big fan of that show that was on the CW / the WB, okay? The dad from Seventh Heaven. Apparently he had like touched young girls or kids inappropriately. And like you first hear this, you're going, well, shit, this guy should be doing jail time. What the hell is going on? And like, by his own admission, the guy could have gone the other route and said, no, I did no such thing. I did no such thing. Right? But no, instead, what happens is he comes clean. He admits that, you know, yes, you know, there was a lapse in judgment. I haven't done anything since. And you know why this man probably was not prosecuted? You know why this man did not face any type of jail time whatsoever? It's a simple thing, because when it comes time for the prosecution that hears this to say, hey, by admission, this gentleman admitted that he blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, we need to find out the time frame in which this had occurred, and we need to reach out to the victims that he assaulted, and we need to try to see if they would be willing to press charges against him. And 7 out of 10, these victims that the dad from Seventh Heaven had some type of relations with, they said, no, you know what? We don't want to go through the pain all over again. We don't want to go through the hardship. We don't want to go through, and I'm sorry, guys, I got to take a pause right here. Beyonce, you're kicked out. You're gone. You're gone. This ain't about black. This ain't about white. Now that is a stupid comment. Please, people, as somebody that loves people of all different nationalities, you know, be it Hispanic, be it white, I don't care if you're gay, I don't care if you're transgender, man, that's the stupidest comment you can make, because this is not about race. And I'm not going to have that type of bullshit in the chat. So Beyonce, you're done. Good night to you. You're done. Please do not pull the race card, because that is so fucking easy. It's not even funny. Every single time something goes wrong in our society, me personally as a black man, I'm fucking sick and tired of people pulling the race card. Why can't we just let it be about self-accountability? And in the case of the dad from Seventh Heaven, the reason why he did not get charged, no, it's not because he was white. It is because the people that decided, hey, we need to try to see if we can get a prosecution on this guy. Let's go talk to the victims. The victims going, oh no, we don't want to dig up that hole again. We don't want to have anything to... That's what happens in most cases. Even victims that have been raped, they don't want to live through the heartache. They don't want to live through the tragedy, the agony that they had suffered all over again. They want to just be done with it. They want to sweep it under the rug, and they want to move on with their lives. And 9 times out of 10, that's probably what happened with the victims that were affected by the dad from Seventh Heaven. But just the fact that dude had admitted that, you know, he admitted, yes, I lapsed in judgment, whatever excuse he wanted to call it, right? He said it, he owned it. And you haven't heard anything from this guy in Hollywood since, because he's been blacklisted. He's been blacklisted ever since. So hopefully he's living off of his royalties and all of that other shit. But you look at what had went down during that period of time when he was committing those acts. Stop and think for a second. Anybody that was maybe in their mid-20s when Seventh Heaven was around, compare how our culture was operating. Look at the fact that we were still finding our way through social media, the web and all that. Can you just imagine if you took the way our society and social media reacts now, put it in a time capsule and place it at that initial point when the speculation first began that the dad from Seventh Heaven was doing XYZ. Take the Me Too movement, bottle all of that up. Don't you think that 8 out of 10, the victims that dad had assaulted, don't you think it probably would have been a different outcome if we would have taken our culture as we know it right now, place it back? Yeah, those victims probably would have been a lot more vocal. Let me tell you something. If you're going to give a pass to Bill Cosby because he's old, I say to you, well, if that's the case, then for people that maybe had killed blacks back in the 50s and they're still alive and they've yet to be brought to justice, and there's evidence saying, hey, we need to bring these people to justice, we need to press charges on them, we need to take these guys to trial and get a conviction, then I think you need to just go all across the same way. If you're going to want to try to treat Bill Cosby a certain way, oh, he's up there in age, cut him some slack, let him go. Okay, well then anybody that's killed black people 50s or whatever and they're old people now, maybe we should just give them a pass too, because they're pretty much going to die at any minute now, right? Right? Okay, if we're going to go that route, all I'm saying is, guys, be consistent. If you want to show some type of treatment, whether you want to call it preferential treatment or not, I could care less. But if you're going to treat one individual one way, then you need to treat another individual, all individuals, the same way. And that's not how our judicial system, that's not how our society works. Now, let me tell you something. Let me be in the position that Bill Cosby is in. Let me have put smiles on the faces of many. Let me be that guy that apparently I did what I did to women. Whether or not I own it or not, of course, I'm not going to own it because I don't want to spend my days in jail, right? But I have a name, I have a reputation, I have a brand to protect. And I'm in the golden years of my life, and the last thing I want to do is be convicted and go to jail. Yeah, I'm probably going to try to be as silent as humanly possible, right? But let me tell you something. If I did do despicable, heinous acts to that of which Cosby had did, then you know what? I deserve any and everything that is coming to me, right? And I know that there's going to be a lot of people that's going to look at this. They want to try to make it be a race thing. I'm sorry. It's not a race thing. Please stop looking at it as a race thing. Not everything is always about black and white, right? Let's hear what the judge has to say after X amount of days have gone past, and they're able to talk about, okay, the evidence and what all led up to you feeling this way. What's going on with the jury, which brings me to the next point. The jury. Let's find out from the jury, okay, how did you guys reach a conviction? Why did you all feel compelled to go in this direction and not basically mirror what the jury from the first trial had said? You know, why did you guys go in this direction? It's going to take some time. Give it about anywhere from 3 to 6 months. We're going to hear, you know, there is more information that they're sitting on that we do not know about. But for now, we got to go based off of the information that we have, which is, hey, he's been convicted. Okay? At the end of the day, he's been convicted. Obviously, there was enough circumstantial evidence that would suggest, okay, hey, this person did XYZ. That's the point. And does it break my heart to see a man that I grew up on as, who isn't disappointed in hearing this shit? Who isn't fucking disappointed? It's sad. You have no idea how sad it makes me, because to be a poor black kid growing up in Chicago in the ghetto, looking for some type of inspiration to get out of the ghetto, trying to become a better man, trying to become a better individual, because I see all the stuff that's going on in society, you know, even as a kid. I'm seeing how you got all these gangs running around, how people are getting shot, drugs flying around, prostitution. I'm going, there's got to be more to life than just this. I'm saying this to myself even though I'm a young kid. And one of the first people I see that's put on my TV is Bill Cosby. And I'm seeing things from his eyes as far as Fat Albert, and then I'm seeing a string of movies that he was doing in the 70s, some of them with Sidney Poitier, and then I see what he does on the Cosby Show, A Different World, Cosby Mysteries, right? The Jell-O commercials. I'm seeing all of this, and I'm right along with you guys when I say my heart does ache, because that's now a piece of my childhood that's forever fractured. I'm with you guys 100%, but where I differ, I gotta go, okay, you know what? They weren't able to, Cosby's team, they weren't able to put into the jury's minds reasonable doubt or not guilty. They weren't able to sway them in that fashion. So the fact that they weren't able to sway them in that fashion, and that there's now a conviction and he's now going to be doing jail time, you're going, okay, well, we need to hear from the jury. We need to hear from the judges. How did they come to this crossroads? And until we come to that crossroads, we can't assume. That's the message, guys. We can't assume. Because what happens? When we assume, we make asses out of ourselves. But I'm telling you, when you got that many victims that come forward, what the hell do you expect? What do you think is going to happen? Yeah, some of them might be lying. Some of them may be telling exaggerated lies, but to sit there and say all of them are liars, and then to go the whole route of, well, this is happening because, you know, he's black, and you know how many racial barriers Bill Cosby has broken to basically pave the way for other blacks? It doesn't matter if they're trying to go the comedian route or just the entertainment route in general. You know how many people's careers he helped pave the way for with just his name alone? How many people of different nationalities he was able to bring together because of the positive impact, the great ambassador that he was for African Americans? And you want to try to say it's not a race thing? That's ludicrous. That's fucking laughable. In 2018, that's laughable. I'm sorry, it's not. And I'm just not going to buy that. I'm just not. But, you know, this is a topic that, you know, a lot of people are going to continue to be very passionate about. And let me tell you something, man. It's a situation where it's right up there with politics. There can be a lot of friendships. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of families, just like with the talk of politics, Trump and all that, you're going to have a lot of people that are going to be on the same fence with regards to what's going on with Cosby as well. So I would expect that this is going to continue to be a hot topic for quite a long time. But I am done talking about that. Let's go on to some other topics here and liven up the mood a little bit. Of course, you are checking out the RCWR Show, covering all things wrestling, entertainment, and beyond since 2011. So we had SmackDown and Raw for this week, a little bit so episodes. I only want to talk about key points. Going back to Raw, I'm sure a good majority of you guys had heard or maybe seen with your own two eyes another week that brought forth with Brie Bella in action. Brie Bella bringing what she does best, her botches, as her latest victim, as Brie Bella strikes again, was Liv Morgan. There was a tag match that had came about where we had saw Liv Morgan, Ruby Riott, Sarah Logan, the Riott Squad. They had took on both Bellas, and I can't remember the third girl that was part of that whole mix. But long story short, at one point we had saw Brie Bella in the ring. She's doing the trademark yes kicks, and they're connecting well to the upper body chest area of Liv Morgan, and Brie's just, you can tell she's having fun with it, but like at one point everything just goes totally wrong as we see Brie Bella during these yes kicks. One kick lands to Liv Morgan's head. Actually, I counted 2 kicks based off of the footage that I had recorded and played it in slow-mo. Liv Morgan actually had took 2 strong kicks to the head, and it looked as though she pretty much was out cold. I mean, I played it back a couple of times just on my TV because I usually have Raw recording anyway, and I just happened to have been watching Raw this night. I'm going, wait a minute, and I'm actually watching this with my girl, and my girl says, holy shit, that did not look right. I'm like, yeah, it didn't. Let's rewind that. Watch it again, and you're going, no, she didn't, please. And yeah, Liv Morgan actually knocked out cold by freaking Brie Bella and those kicks. And I mean, to just see social media, Natty, thank you, Mark. Mark in the chat was saying Natty was the third person that had teamed up with the Bellas to take on the Riott Squad. You know, you see Brie Bella do that botch, and you're going, holy shit. And I gotta tell you, social media was lighting Brie Bella's ass up. I mean, I saw people chewing this young woman out left and right. Some people were actually trying to come to Brie Bella's defense, saying, hey, she just gave birth recently, cut her some slack, you know, come on, she's just a little bit rusty. But you know, you had other people, and I definitely had the mentality that some others had on social media, which was, wait a minute now, this is starting to add up, because you have this moment this week, and then you go to the moment a couple of weeks back where they did a suicide dive, and Brie's suicide dive was just horrific. I mean, she botched the hell out of it. She botched the hell out of a spot in a match that she had with Zelina Vega. I remember even a botch spot that came about with Ruby Riott, right? I mean, I remember at least 4 instances that went down, you know, and you know what? Yes, accidents do and can and they will happen. You're talking to somebody at the end of the day, unlike most people. At some point, I did try to train to be a pro wrestler. I still have friends to this day that are either involved in the pro wrestling business or no longer in the business, that, you know, can attest to this as well, which is, yeah, you know what? Accidents can, yeah, and they will happen. But see, here's where you part ways with that statement. When you string together these accidents almost week after week after week, it's almost a guarantee that Brie Bella is going to botch, that she's going to mess up. And that's the sad part. Nikki Bella has been okay. Once in a blue moon, I mean very rare, you'll come across a situation where Nikki Bella, whoa, what the hell was she thinking right there, right? I've always felt that out of the 2 Bellas, Nikki was the better wrestler. I've always felt that way. Always have. Going as far back as 2012. I mean, we've been doing the show since 2011. But I have felt the way I have felt a very long time about the Bellas, that Nikki was the better wrestler and Brie was just okay, right? As far as I was concerned, Brie Bella is just really good at twin magic. When Nikki's in a bind, okay, she rolls out, Brie takes her place. That's, you know, that's honestly what I felt Brie was really, really good at, okay? But yes, accidents can and will happen. But when you have a situation where week after week, it's like, okay, when does self-accountability come into play? When is enough enough? And it's, hey, look, take this person to the side and give them a pep talk and let them know, hey, a couple of people are starting to notice now that you're doing XYZ and it's sending a pretty bad negative message to the other people here in the locker room. You're starting to build that reputation. Let me tell you what's going to happen. If nobody, this is reality talk. If nobody pulls Brie Bella to the side, and if they haven't done so already, if nobody pulls her to the side and tells her, hey, you gotta clean that up. You're stringing these messed up spots together too often. It's almost a weekly thing now. You gotta tighten this up. If they don't pull her to the side and talk to her, what's ultimately going to end up happening, you're going to have people that will say, no, I'm not interested in working with Brie Bella. I want to be as far away from her as humanly possible. No, I refuse to work with her. That's eventually in her future. So you got to nip this. And I like the fact that, you know, Brie tried to own this, or the Bellas, because they put out a statement on their joint Twitter account, you know, sending nothing but love to Liv and everything. And you're going, okay, that's a nice heartfelt statement, but, and I'm sure they're feeling it right now. And it was so interesting and a little bit funny seeing all of the interactions from people that were saying what they were saying negatively towards the Bellas. Like, on the one hand, those that were defending the Bellas, saying they rock and, oh, accidents can happen, all is good. You know, a lot of these people, I'm looking at their avatars, and either it's young girls, when I say young girls, probably under the age of 16, or it's individuals that have little gamer cartoon avatars, so you kind of know that, you know, that they're young or whatever. They're much younger than 16, right? So you had your nice little balance of people that were trying to take to the defense of the Bellas, but you had a lot of people that, and I was quite taken back, you had people that also were young, saying, you guys suck, you guys keep fucking up in the ring, stop it already, right? But then you had older people that were a little bit more tasteful with their choice of words, telling them, you know, you guys, really in particular, they were going after Brie. They weren't really going after Nikki as well. I mean, if anything, you saw a few pleas, would you guys just stay gone? But really, all the hate was coming towards Brie Bella, and I'm sure she's probably feeling really hurt right now. I'm sure she's an emotional wreck right now. They say with motherhood, it brings out even more emotions that you never thought you had, etc. And I'm sure she's probably going through that phase right now of great remorse. And, you know, my message to Brie Bella, in all honesty, it would be, don't feel sorry for yourself, okay? If you want to, like, take what's happening this week and turn it into something of positivity, my message to you would be, take this incident, look at the other incidents that had came about with you, right? And say to yourself, okay, obviously, when you add up these weeks, I've been hurting people. I've been messing up certain spots. I can't continue to do this. I gotta be better. What can I do to better myself? My message to Brie would be, look, by any means necessary, whatever you can do to get yourself some additional training at the Performance Center, or when you arrive for SmackDown, you arrive for Raw. If you can get there a couple of hours before, and if you know you're going to be involved in a match, if you haven't already done so already, whoever you're supposed to be working your match with, be it one-on-one or a tag match, make sure you're taking that extra time that's needed. Go over your spots. Go over them carefully. They say practice makes perfect. All right. When you slack on training and all of that other stuff, when you just, whatever. Yeah. When you show that type of neglect, it shows in the ring. It does. Everybody is allowed to make mistakes. But when we all, it's bad when we, as the wrestling audience, are going, well, damn. This week and last week it was, and the week before that it was, and the week before that it was this. And when we're able to recount those, that's a very bad thing. So my message to Brie would be to sincerely, and I mean this. See, unlike other people, I'm very nice with my choice of words. After what I just said at the very top about how I do my best to treat people with respect, I could be much more. Let me tell you something. If this was the RCWR show from 2011, I would have been having a field day, just literally blazing up Brie Bella. I'd have been calling her all kinds of names in the book. I'd have been calling her all kinds of silly crap, derogatory stuff, right? Probably would use the B word, all that. Okay, now, I'm not in this to be a Howard Stern shock jock, all right? So I'm going to leave that to the other people that decide they want to cut her up like that. But I can be very surgical with my words, be direct, to the point, and that's my honest 2 cents from a distance, that if Brie Bella is serious about continuing this path of being a pro wrestler, being on the road, spending some type of quality time with her husband and everything, if she wants to continue to be in that ring, then she owes it not just to herself, but to her dance partner or partners to make sure that her shit is tight. And I do mean tight. Otherwise, she's not going to last that much longer. And I mean, you've already got people that's looking at her and saying, please, for the love of God, do not have her be on the Evolution card. I was going to talk about this later, but it kind of ties into literally what we just talked about. And you had this young lad over at the No DQ sites. I particularly do not care for these guys, and nothing personal. It's just there's no gravitas to what they do, and off and on over the years, these guys have tried to follow me on social media, and it's so funny. I ended up blocking them, and the reason why I blocked them is because one of their guys, whoever was in charge of the account, some certain things I would say, and nobody else would be saying these things on social media, but I would be saying very unique, explicit, like pinpoint things of observation, and the next thing I know, my shit was being jacked and said either on social media, or the guy Aaron Riff or whatever was saying it on YouTube, and it's kind of like, okay, that's more than coincidence. Let me just. But they had a guy over there at the No DQ site had wrote this article, and he pretty much was bashing the whole divas that's basically penetrating this Evolution's pay-per-view event coming up. And I want to read to you guys this article because it does tie into the Bellas and everything. So Stephen Luke is the guy's name, and this editorial piece that he did, it is titled "How the Divas Are Damaging the Evolution." Yes, how the divas are damaging the Evolution. You guys are in for a treat. After this, I want to get into some shout outs because talking way too long about that whole Bill Cosby stuff. We got some bills to pay. We definitely need to do our very best and make sure we show our sponsors some serious love. So actually, hang on one second. And okay, so that's good. Hang on. One more time, guys. I'm just looking in the chat here. Bear with me a second here. Just want to make sure we get that updated. All right, now we're good. All right, let me read this article to you guys here. Again, it is titled... Damn, I just lost it. Where'd it go? Where's my article at? There we go. There we go. 1 minute I had it and then I lost it again. Here we go. How the Divas Are Damaging the Evolution by Stephen Luke. In just over a month, on October 28th, 2018, the women's revolution in WWE will hit its peak with an all-woman pay-per-view. That should be all women's pay-per-view, but okay. There is only one problem with this. Instead of showcasing the current talent that has changed mainstream women's wrestling, WWE is using this as a place to showcase the past instead of building on the present towards the future. The women's revolution may have started in the Diva era, but the return of the stars of that time to the ring could ruin Evolution. Sure, there are people who want to see Trish Stratus and Lita in the ring again. Sure, Total Divas, Total Bellas is still a popular television program. By bringing these women back, though, you are taking the spotlight away from the current division that has changed the way people look at women's wrestling. The current era of the women's division started in 2016 when the Divas Championship was retired, and a match that should be in a match. Again, you know, for a person that's writing this, I'm really surprised. And I see the timestamp. Apparently they wrote this at like 12:24 a.m. They really should have had somebody go back and clean this up for them a little bit, but it's okay. It sounds good so far. The current era of the women's division started in 2016 when the Divas Championship was retired in a match widely considered the best women's triple threat match in the history of WWE. Crowned the women's champion. That's a little bit too long-winded of a sentence, but that's okay. From there, I know a thing or two about typing. I had to do editorials in high school and in college, so I'm very particular about sentence structure and all that. I know sometimes I may talk with slang, but usually when I write up my own respected editorials or I'm going over somebody's editorial pieces, I am like fucking Perry White at the Daily Bugle. Anyway, from there, the division moved away from the bra and panty era. Dude, what the fuck? From there, the division moved away from the bra and panty era. I would have just said bra and panties era, but whatever. Bra and panty era of the 90s and early 2000s, and left the Divas era of sloppy limited wrestling and skimpy outfits for everyone, and has evolved into a more complete style of women's wrestling. To see the comparison of the current style of women's wrestling in WWE to the style of the past, you don't have to look too far back to see the difference. On their return to the ring, the Bellas, Nikki, and Brie, my God, he even spelled Nikki wrong. My God, N-I-C-K-I. I thought Nikki always spelled it N-I-K-I. Did I miss something, guys? Or is that maybe like her correct spelling by her legal birth certificate? Let me know in the chat. Faced off against two members of the Riot Squad, Sarah Logan and Liv Morgan. In that match, Brie botched a regular dive twice, and the Bellas did not look crisp against the new era of women wrestlers. In comparison, Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch put on a match that past weekend at Hell in a Cell that was so crisp and clean that it was in contention for match of the night. I don't know about all that, but it was a good match. These are the types of matches that should be showcased as the evolution of the women's division, not the scripted reality television that remains the Divas division. The Bellas should be nowhere near this show. Lita's 100th match with Mickie James should stay at the bottom of the card, and no other members of the current division should be wasted against legends like Alexa Bliss is against Trish Stratus. This piece is almost over. The reality television stars should be left on television, and instead the evolution should showcase matches that really highlight the evolution of the product. Lynch versus Flair should headline the show. They should build another match around the superstar that is Asuka to rebuild the buzz around her that was lost after she lost to Flair and Carmella over and over again. The rumored creation of Women's Tag Team Championship should be built around teams like the Iconics, the Riot Squad, the remaining members of Absolution, and the friend team of Sasha Banks and Bayley, and keep the Bellas far away from it. This is what needs to happen, because the inclusion of the Divas will take away from what the product has become and will set it back 5 years. It's time to let go of the past and let the evolution shine at Evolution. All right, so that's what he had to say about that. Again, this is freaking Stephen Luke from No DQ, and I see everybody is spelling Nikki N-I-K-K-I. And yeah, he put a C in there, so he butchered the hell out of that, but that's okay. We'll give him a pass. Okay, so I mean, for the most part, I don't really have a problem with a lot of the things that he said, because at the end of the day, he is entitled to his own opinion. Where I do have a problem with his piece is he obviously does not understand, nor does he acknowledge it just to clean up his own mess that he put out there in the editorial, to at least make it come off as though, okay, I know from the business standpoint, this is why this is happening. Does anybody really know the reason why girls like the Bellas or Trish Stratus, Lita to a certain extent, are part of this Evolution pay-per-view event? I mean, look at the Bellas. We don't really need to spend 10 minutes on each individual or set of women. But with regards to the Bellas, you add up the numbers, even if their ratings and viewership has kind of slipped a little bit on Total Divas and Total Bellas, they are still able to draw a decent amount of viewership. When you go on WWE Shop, you go to live events, their merchandise is always available. Their merchandise always sells. So at the end of the day, whether you like it or not, I can feel however I want to feel about, in this case, well, hey, I think Nikki is the better wrestler as opposed to Brie. No matter how we all may feel about the Bellas, they are marquee from the standpoint of they do generate revenue. And as a result of that, that is why they are involved with Evolution. Now, granted, it looks as though it could be Nikki taking on Ronda Rousey. I tell you what, that's a different topic for another show, right? But we can call some of the bookings questionable, yeah? But they're still, you know, they're making the company money. So they would be stupid to not put the Bella Twins on the Evolution card. Trish Stratus, for everything that she's accomplished in the WWE. I remember when Trish Stratus just started off as a manager slash hot smoking piece of ass that was coming out with the late Andrew Martin and Prince Albert, right? TNT, right? I remember when she was coming out with them, and man, she couldn't wrestle for nothing. She couldn't wrestle worth a damn. And yeah, was she involved in a lot of the bra and panties matches? You bet your ass she was. But you know when the tides had started to change? When you had girls like Lita, girls like Jazz, Molly Holly, Victoria, Ivory, Miss Jackie, when they all came to the scene and showed that, hey, we're more than just boobs and ass. We can actually go out there and we can wrestle as well. So have that. And those created some of the most exciting and fun times. If you were a fan of not just pro wrestling, but if you were also a fan of women's wrestling, those created some really awesome moments, right? So to see WWE also give that nod to Trish Stratus and Lita, let me tell you something. As it stands right now for September 25th, 2018, in what other direction are you supposed to go to fill up your Evolution card? What, are you going to fill up your Evolution card with a whole bunch of women from NXT and the NXT UK division that, quite honestly, a lot of WWE fans, the majority of the WWE universe, do not know? And they're just going to be sitting on their hands all quiet and all that because they don't know who these women are? Is that what you prefer to see happen as you're watching this either in person or you're watching it on your TV set? I'm sorry, that doesn't make any sense. So you got to go with your marquee names. You got to go with the household names. And yeah, you do have to rely on the names of the past to help really get this show off to a good start and have it be strong in such a way where you can go back and say, hey, this was so good, we can do a follow-up. And that's how it always starts. I mean, in case you guys haven't noticed something, this is no different than when a new wrestling promotion starts up. Rather than just have it be straight up, okay, nothing but faces, new faces that nobody has ever seen before in their entire life. Okay, let's try to reach out to some veterans that can maybe help, you know, put some spotlight on our event. And who's available? Oh, okay, well, maybe we can get Kevin Nash to come on by. Hey, Scott Hall is actually in the area. Maybe we can get him to do. And that's how it all starts. You have to do that. You can't just always rely on new faces. Sometimes you gotta rely on some marquee names to help get your joint over. It'd be no different than if you decided that one year, you know, who knows, let's say you want to throw your own convention, you want to throw your own wrestling convention, or you want to throw your own little miniature Comic-Con convention. You know what, you're gonna have, yeah, that's cool, you're gonna look out for your friends, you're gonna look out for your family that want to sell their artwork and all of that other stuff. That's great that you want to do that. But not everybody is going to feel so inclined to want to go because I'm going and I don't know any of these names. What the hell? Right? So how do you bring the people to your event? It's like, okay, well, Jim Lee is available. Maybe we can get a hold of Jim Lee. Hey, what about Tom McFarlane? Like, yeah, Tom McFarlane could probably help us out as well. What about Dan Jurgis? We could probably get a hold of Dan Jurgis as well. So, I mean, it's a trend that has been happening for years upon years upon years upon years. I got no problem with Trish. I got no problem with Lita in their own respected right. They help usher in a new wave of entertainment for the women's division in the WWE. And you know what? The Bellas, they definitely ushered in, I would say, sports entertainment, and I emphasize entertainment, when pretty much the reins were given to them as well, you know. But like, you look at the current card for the Evolution. Let's pull up the current Evolution card right now. Now, bear in mind that Sasha Banks is injured, and as a result of her being injured, you know, looks like she's gonna be out of commission for a hot second, to the point, wasn't she supposed to be the partner of Bobby Lashley? And now Bobby Lashley's new partner is Mickie James. Yeah, so I mean, it's like, ooh. So as far as potentially Bailey taking on Sasha Banks, that's not going to be happening. You know, which is unfortunate. But let's look at the current Evolution card as it stands right now. And every time I type in Evolution, I keep getting the damn stable. I want to know about the pay-per-view. I think it's going to be a long time before we're able to really flush that out. Let's see, Evolution pay-per-view. Come on now. And I kind of question the Sasha Banks injury, but it's all good. There we go. Evolution pay-per-view. Let's look this up. There we go. No, give me the Evolution card. It's not giving me the Evolution pay-per-view card, man. Hang on a second here. Isn't that weird? Like 1 minute you get it, and then the next... There we go. So you have to type in WWE Evolution Wicca. That's how you're able to get it. That's ridiculous. All right, let's look at the current card right now. And we still don't... That's the thing, guys. What the hell are they... Okay, so at the time that this editorial piece was written, like, we're missing 1, 2, 3. We're missing like 3 matches. But, I mean, here's how it's looking right now. Lita versus Mickie James. Old time's sake. Alexa Bliss taking on Trish Stratus. Let me tell you how that's going to go down. Alexa's going to be put over. I mean, just use common sense. You know why the Alexa Bliss versus Trish Stratus match is happening? And I wish that this Steve guy would have put it in his piece. It's happening because people over the years have said, hey, Alexa Bliss is like the second coming of Trish Stratus. So that's why that match is happening. All right. Lita versus Mickie James. You can never go wrong with those two. Me personally, I would have preferred it if it would have been Mickie James taking on Asuka. Simplistic storyline. You could have followed up from NXT Toronto, Canada, when Mickie James had faced Asuka for the NXT Women's Championship. Those two have some history there. It would have been nice to see these two girls go at it again, and maybe that go round Mickie could have gotten the W. And then, okay, now it's 1-1 somewhere down the road. They're going to meet up again. Keep your fingers crossed. Who knows? Maybe it'll happen out of WrestleMania, whatnot. Okay. Let's see here. We've got Lita for her style and all that. I don't know. Maybe you could have had her take on Zelina Vega, or maybe you could have had her take on Lana. I mean, who knows? But let's see what else. Lo Shari taking on Toni Storm, 2018 Mae Young Classic Tournament final match. That should be good. We got a to be determined versus to be determined NXT UK Women's Championship match. We got Kairi Sane defending the NXT Women's Championship against Shayna Baszler. That should be a good one. We got a WWE SmackDown Women's Championship match. I mean, we can only assume that's maybe going to be Charlotte taking on Becky Lynch. And then we got the Raw Women's Championship. You know, we still don't know who that's going to be, but you're led to the impression, well, maybe it's going to be Nikki Bella taking on Ronda, right? So, I mean, I'm sure that there's probably going to be some other matches that will be announced as well. I mean, for one thing, I don't see the Riot Squad on here, and for the Riot Squad to not be on the card, that would just be silly. So I would suspect, whether it's on the actual card or on the pre-show, I would suspect that in some shape or form, Ruby Squad, they're going to be involved. The Riot Squad, they're going to be involved in that. No Bailey. I would expect Bailey's going to be involved. And what about Mandy? What's it? Mandy Rose. You got to put Mandy Rose in there. Absolution, basically. You know they're going to make some type of a cameo. You know Paige is going to make some type of a cameo as well. So, I mean, to have the impression that, oh, well, you know, they're relying too heavy on the past, yeah, I'm not buying that. You know, there's nothing wrong, and I hate how sometimes we all act very premature when we're talking about certain things. It's like, okay, look at the matches that I just named so far. So far, it's pretty solid, right? 9 times out of 10, that's probably going to be maybe a 3-hour max, a 3-hour pay-per-view event. And I would expect that all of the other women that I just named, they are going to be on that card. So, you know, I get it. This guy is a fan of, they're going to be on there. To come away thinking that, oh, all of these old dinosaurs, they're going to go over to young kids, that's not even going to happen. I mean, stop and think about it for a second. Don't you think that the Trish Stratuses, the Litas, the AJ Lees, the Beth Phoenixes, don't you think that they would have loved it if at a time during their career when they were really fully at it in the WWE, don't you think they would have loved it if they were given an opportunity to have their own respected pay-per-view back in the day where it was nothing but the women doing their thing? Don't you think they would have loved that opportunity? Hell yeah, they would have loved that opportunity. And that brings me to another point. God, why are we making these women such as Trish Stratus and Lita, why are we making them out to be like they're fucking 55 years old and all that? Why are we grouping the Litas, the Trish Stratuses, the Mickie James, you know, why are we grouping them in such a way where like they're not. They look damn fucking good, especially Mickie James to, you know, had put a kid out there. Not long ago. I think by now the kid's probably 2, maybe 3, and I mean she looks to be in the best shape of her career right now. I mean she just stunningly gets more beautiful as the year goes by, right? I mean it's like she's found a fountain of youth. I mean she's literally almost as cute as she was when she first started off her wrestling career. If anything, she's just has more of a healthy build. She's filling out in all the right areas, waist, hips, you know, in the face, all that. She's got a little bit more body mass now, and it's good the way that she's being all filled out. But you know, it's not like these women. You know, I can understand it if we're rolling out the Alundra Blazes to a certain extent. I can understand it if we're rolling out the Mae Youngs or the Fabulous Moolahs. I get that. I get it if it was a situation where we were rolling them out. But I mean, and that brings me to another point. What about the Jazzes? What about the Ivories? Last I saw, those girls can still throw it down, right? I would suspect they may also be involved a little bit with this card. So, I mean, I'm like this. You'd be a fool to not utilize the women that I had mentioned that had played pivotal roles in a certain time period in WWE history when they still look very recognizable. They could just be walking down the street and you go, holy crap, yeah, guess what? They're still recognizable. So, and they still throw it down in the ring. Why would you not want to utilize them? It is just a great big old coming together of the past and the present. And what we all should really be rejoicing in if we're true pro wrestling fans is the fact that, hey, the women are finally getting some love. I mean, that should be the real talk. That WWE is giving the women some love. And I mean, to just think as a man, all the times I've had my girl or my female friends and female family members of my family, all the times that they've watched all the pay-per-views, and to hear them over the years talk about how much it would be a badass if they could just have their own pay-per-view where the girls are on it. And it's like, yeah, well, you know, hey, what about Shine? What about Shimmer? And all these friends and family members of mine, you know, they check out these promotions, but I guess you could kind of call it a bucket list. Like, hey, it'd be nice to see WWE kind of go down this path as well. And for WWE to finally bite in and say, you know what? I think there's a need. I think there is a consumer need. There is a want for this type of entertainment. Well, let's give it to them and let's see what happens. We all should really be rejoicing in that. And honestly, I think if we're going to be talking about this pay-per-view in any type of a negative light, we need to be talking about this pay-per-view after it's in the books and talk about whether or not it passed or failed. That's what we really should be homing in on. Not everything that has yet to be determined, or, hey, the full card still isn't quite revealed just yet. We still don't know everything that's coming down just yet. But, you know, there's so many names, right? We'd be here 20 minutes just going over all the names of the women we feel should be on this card, that we hope will be on this card. I think we are legitimately going to be in for some great surprises. So we all just need to suck on a big fat lollipop that's called chill and marinate, see what happens. Hey, we got to recognize some of our sponsors for tonight's edition of the RCWR Show. Also want to give a nod to our Patreon members because, man, when it's all said and done, these guys, they're the heartbeat of the RCWR Show, man. If you're enjoying the show so far, throw the thumbs up, smash that like button, subscribe, click on the bell icon so you never miss out on all the great content that comes your way on a weekly basis. Right now, I want to recognize our Patreon members. Got some really awesome content. You guys should really sign up. Patreon.com/RCWR Show. For just $5 a month, you get access to great bonus new audio and video content. We pump out like an additional 4 to, I want to say, 7 shows a month on Patreon. So, you know, you guys that's like, hey, what do you think about the Mae Young Classic tournament so far? Patreon.com is where you want to go. Only place I'm going to be talking about it. But we have that. We got the 30 with Lee series. We got the Wrestling with the Topics, which I can't wait to dive into because I know Tammy wants to sound off on the Bill Cosby stuff and some other stuff. I'm looking forward to that. We actually got to pump out one more episode this week. But a lot of great new bonus audio video content. You get access to those 4 to 7 episodes we put out monthly, starting at just $5 a month. So do consider signing up at patreon.com/RCWR Show. Shout out to my good friend Anthony Missionary Thomas of Wrestling Soup. Don't know what's going on with the computer thing. Looked like he was going to be back last week, but didn't pan out that way. Hopefully he's back this week. Also, shout out to the beautiful and the lovely Courtney Summers. I found out her Wrestling and Metal podcast has been pushed back. It's now not going to be premiering until October. I've got to get with her and find out exactly what date she's thinking of. I wouldn't be too surprised if maybe she's thinking about launching that around the Evolution pay-per-view, maybe that respected weekend or going into that new week, a couple of days removed. Maybe she's going to debut it then. But yeah, her show's not going to be launching until then. So I was a little bummed out when I had heard that. Also, shout out to Patreon member Michael Wolf. And shout out to, I'm missing one more. I know I'm missing one more. Yes, Joe Raymond Jr. Did I mention John Davis? I don't think I mentioned John Davis as well. Shout out to John Davis as well. Shout out to Joe Raymond Jr. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Also, recognize some of our sponsors. This edition of the RCWR Show is brought to you in part by JustDoItAfraid.com, helping you by providing the best consultation, tips, and planning when it comes to student loans. Check them out at JustDoItAfraid.com. Again, JustDoItAfraid.com. Also brought to you in part by the Hollywood Initiative. Don't miss out on this week-long event that will help move your career forward. If you are an aspiring actor, you need to be looking into this, especially if you're looking to better your career. You can learn the essential tools you'll need at the Hollywood Initiative. Receive training in voice coaching, participate in acting classes, casting directors, agent and manager meetings, participate in workshops, demo scenes, headshots, so much more. A lot of cool, fun activities at the Hollywood Initiative. If you have questions for the experts, you'll be able to participate in the Hollywood Initiative's Q&A show. Don't miss out on this week-long event. For registration and more information, go to make sure you put in THE, thehollywoodinitiative.com. That's thehollywoodinitiative.com. And follow the Hollywood Initiative on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram at the Hollywood Initiative. And also, we've got a new sponsor I want to tell you guys about. Tonight's RCWR Show is brought to you in part by 5starbuys.com. That's 5starbuys.com. What's really cool about this website, you can pretty much go to these guys for all of your electronic needs. So if you're looking for a laptop, maybe a camera, TV, what have you, right? Maybe you're looking for some cosmetic products as well. These guys make it their business to get a hold of some of the best items that's out there on the market They test it out themselves, and I don't mean just a one-day type of deal. They test all these items out for weeks upon weeks at a time. And what's really cool about this particular website is that they give the final verdict, and usually the only products that they will rate and review on their site are products that are nothing but 5 stars, nothing less. It's got to be 5 stars or they're not even talking about it. So check them out, man. They're a really cool site. I was actually browsing them earlier today. They got some really cool stuff on there. I think I might end up buying for myself and my household. Check them out. Once again, they are at 5starbuys.com. Again, bringing the best in electronic, cosmetic, all your needs, man. They got a little bit of everything on their website that they review, and it's good stuff, man. Rating and good strong reviews. 5starbuys.com. Appreciate them. We got one more sponsor for tonight's show too. This one came in kind of late, and I promised him that we were gonna definitely give him a nod, and he's got some really cool music. I want for you guys to check him out. I want you to go to AJ Land. Oh man, that's a tongue twister. AJ Landa. AJ. No, I don't think that's AJ Landa. Let me see here. AJ LAN. No, I am saying it right. AJLanda.com. That's AJLanda.com. Check him out for some really great tunes. He's actually on iTunes and he is on Spotify. I have a feeling that it's possible I may have butchered that, so I will definitely have a revised version when we put this show in post-production. But that's AJLANDA.com. AJLanda.com. Check him out for some great tunes. If you like a little bit of pop / country acoustic ballad tunes, I would say check him out. Appreciate all of these guys, man. See, we try to give you a little bit of nice variety here on the show. All right, we got a couple more topics we can get into. So we're at about 90 minutes. I only want to get into a couple more topics because I am paying attention to the time, and I did tell you guys I wanted this to be a short show for tonight. Can I just say that where do I want to go? Congrats are in order for Allison Kay, otherwise known as Sienna in Impact Wrestling. She recently had became the new Shine Women's Champion. I haven't checked that promotion out in a while. I'm actually getting the itch to see what they've been up to, and I'm gonna start actually making the investment and check out MLW on top of the other stuff that I check out weekly, because I am hearing a lot of good things about MLW, so I want to give them a shot. So can't wait to come back on here next week and tell you what I thought about them. But shout out to Allison Kay, new Shine Women's Champion. Also, it looks as though congrats are in order for Mia Yim. Looks as though she has officially signed a contract with the WWE, as it's being reported by respectable news media outlets such as Dave Meltzer and PW Insider. And it's so funny because we were talking about this exclusively on Patreon last week. I tackled the question of whether or not Mia Yim, should be signed to the WWE, and without putting too much out there, because that was a Patreon exclusive, I spent like about, God, I think I dedicated like 20 minutes just talking about Mia Yim and how like it's essential that WWE gets a hold of her and everything. And I made a lot of very valid points. Maybe I'll release that little excerpt on the YouTube channel later this week, right? Because I think it's kind of fun if you hear it and then, days later after I said that, basically she signed with the WWE. So I mean, that's a great signing. I can already think about the great feuds that she could be having. I'm just picturing her mashing it up well with Bayley, Asuka. I'm also picturing her getting it on with freaking Alexa Bliss, Mickey James. I think her and Mickey James would really be freaking tearing it up. Her and Charlotte would be awesome. Amber Moon. I mean, just the different combinations you'd be able to do with Mia. And she has such a strong following as well. I hope that if a situation occurs where she's going to come through NXT, I hope that she's only in NXT for a hot, quick cup of coffee, because I personally feel she would be much better off going to the main roster, because that's where they really need the help right now. They need to put some better faces on the main shows and trim the fat a little bit and removing some, I hate to say dead weights, but that's how I'm going to call it, a couple of dead weights that they need to remove from them, from their shows there. Also, I saw this and I just kind of was shaking my head. There's this young girl on social media. I'm not mentioning her name. I'm not even going to mention her handle. I don't even need to spend 10 minutes on this, but I'm sure you heard about this. There was this woman that has shared this story on social media about how her dad was at a supermarket, and her dad basically had ran into Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, and basically the dad had saw that there were some kids that were coming up to these guys and they were trying to get autographs, photo ops, and all of that. And, you know, they politely were like, nah, sorry. And Seth Rollins, he pretty much, no, I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. That's not happening. You know, let's stop that before you guys even. And the dad managed to, or whoever it was, had managed to snap a picture as the kids had approached, and they were declining and everything. And here we go again, another case of self-entitlement. Here we go again with another case of, you know, why won't you sign an autograph? Why won't you take a photo op with me? You know, I'm the reason why you have the lifestyle that you have, right? Without me putting the money into the WWE Network and or the pay-per-view and coming to the house shows and all that, without me and my money, you wouldn't be where you are right now. So that's what I mean by this notion of self-entitlement. And when I first heard about this, for one, I got to get on the media, because for the media to latch on to this and give this young girl praise, the young girl has said repeatedly on social media that she doesn't care about pro wrestling. She doesn't follow it. If anything, hey, she's seeing that she's getting a lot of follows, and she's like, hey, keep it coming, guys. So here is a person that doesn't care about wrestling. She says, oh, these guys said some pretty, you know, nasty things. These guys were acting like assholes. And it's like, oh my God, they were acting like assholes. What did they do? And she explains what did they do. And it's like, okay, so you don't have anything. So it wasn't like they said, it wasn't like Seth Rollins said, hey kid, get lost, you little fucking turd. It's not like Seth Rollins went like that or anything. They just, oh, I mean, and when you see these pictures, it's like, okay, they're not in their ring gear. They are on their own personal time, right? Isn't it funny? Isn't it funny? I said this on social media. Isn't it funny that you could be in a situation where you're at a restaurant, you're eating your meal, and you're enjoying your company as you're eating your meal, and you look around and you just happen to see, oh my God, that's Al Pacino. Oh my God, honey, we got to go over there. We got to get his autograph. And then, oh my God, it's Al Pacino. And you're hurrying up, you're finishing your food, and you're having yourself a good time. And isn't it funny? You make sure that you enjoy your meal, you know, your company and all of that, but you don't give that same courtesy when you get ready to go up to someone like Al Pacino, who is sitting down. You don't know what his schedule had entailed for that day. You don't know how many other people he probably, you know. I mean, if it was me, I would say, hey, man, I know you get this all the time. I'm not looking for a photograph or anything, but I just want to say, big fan of your work, love your stuff. You know, I see you're on your chill time. Just, you know, please forgive me, but man, you rock. You know, best of luck to you, man. Keep doing what you're doing. And I would prefer it if that celebrity says, okay, well, thank you. Well, hey, you know, no problem at all. Would you like a photo real quick? Would you like an autograph? And I know sometimes some of these wrestlers, they are prepared. Some of these wrestlers, they already have autograph photos handy and all of that they just give away, or, you know, hey, we're going to be in your town, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I got some tickets here. Yeah, it's on me, you know, yeah, bring your friends, no problem. You know, some of them are already prepared. But, you know, I've always respected these wrestlers. I always have for many, many years. You know, you hear about the schedule, you know, and some of my friends that's in the business right now, I don't see how they do it. Some of my friends that are in the business, look, they're at a point where, you know, they're not working with ROH. They're not working with Impact Wrestling or WWE. So they got to continue to pay the bills somehow, right? And so they do what they can with the wrestling, but some of them, they're doing side businesses. Some of them are in business for themselves, selling all types of cool stuff. But, you know, you got to make a living somehow, right? And I say that because guys like Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, they're pretty much on the road like 5 days a week, give or take. They got that one day where they're back home, and even at that, it's not like they can fully relax because they're on a time schedule. It's like, okay, well, you know, let's go do this, let's go do that, and then, you know, pretty much, all right, got to go back on the road, sorry, right? So when they're on their chill time, it is very, very limited. And look, I'm old school. I'm like this. If you want that wrestler's autograph, either meet them at some type of a special show where they're doing a meet and greet, do it that way, or catch them at the arena. Don't be stalking their hotel. Don't be stalking at the airport. And that's, you know, it's one thing if you're already at the airport, you see them. And me personally, I know their time is everything. They got to make sure that they're able to connect to their flights, all that stuff. It's one thing if maybe I see my favorite wrestler at a bar, sitting there drinking something. Even at that, I'm not going to say, teach its own. But for me personally, I'm not going to say, can I get an autograph or can I get, you know, as long as I've been doing this show, you know, one of the things that I learned early on, just treat these guys like fucking human beings. They're just like average people, just like you and me, with the exception you're able to see them on TV every single week. But when they're away from the TV, they just want to be treated like a regular Joe. That's what I've personally learned. I've learned that when you just treat them like a regular fucking human being, and you treat them with kindness, you don't bombard them, man, they are so much more cooler to you that a majority of the time they may willingly say, well, hey, would you like an autograph? Would you like a... And isn't it also funny that every time we hear these people complain and all that, like, you never hear it of a situation where somebody voluntarily says, well, hey, look, if you pose a picture, pose a picture with me here, pose and, maybe I can get your autograph. I'll give you 40, 50 bucks for your trouble. You never hear anybody say that. You never hear anybody say that, oh, well, I got denied. Oh, boo. Yeah, and I had offered to pay them. You never hear that. It's like these people that are running up for these photographs, for these autographs, right? Like they're just like, it's in my due, and it's sadly not. Now, some people want to say, but the kids, man, the kids, did they really have to act that way, like, towards the kids? Like, can understand it if it was adults. Like, I get it, but, man, did they have to do that to the kids? Because, hey, man, they're kids. It wasn't like they were 13 or whatever, and you see the kids look like they were maybe between, I would say, 7 to 10, maybe 11-ish, right? But you know what? Every single situation and that wrestler, it's different. Everybody acts accordingly. I remember one time, I love telling this story. I remember one time, I was working an old job of many, many years back. I was fresh out of high school, and it was one of the first companies that I had worked for. I was working security. And part of my job, I was working down in Georgetown, and I would pay attention to the loading dock. And the loading dock, the chief engineer for this site, he was very strict. He basically was like, look, any vehicles that come through here, you need to make sure you tell them off. Like, if they are not delivering packages, they cannot park here. I don't give a fuck if they're going to the Tower Records for 5 minutes. It ain't happening. Tell them to take a hike, or you give them a ticket, you tow their car out. And that's how it was. That's how it always was. Okay? And I remember one day I'm out there, I'm listening to music and everything, and the next thing I know, I see Brendan Haywood. Of all people, I fucking see Brendan Haywood. He just pulls up into the loading dock, parks his car, and I go, holy shit, you're Brendan Haywood. And he goes, yeah, man, yeah, how you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm doing pretty good. And for you guys that don't know who Brendan Haywood is, he's a retired NBA basketball player. He had played for the Wizards at one point. And when he was playing for the Wizards, he was playing for them. God, he was playing for them mid 2000s, something like that. Like I want to say 2001, maybe up until about 2010, give or take, that he was playing for the Wizards. So yeah, he just pulls right on up, and I'm like, dude, and he was injured at that point. And I said, how's the injury coming along, man? You getting along? You doing better? And he goes, yeah, you know, the progress is a little slow, but I'm pretty close to coming back, man. I am. I said, oh, okay, cool. So what you doing around here? He's like, oh, I'm just going to run into the Tower Records real quick. Is it okay? And I said, yeah. I said, man, normally it's not. I be, you know, I got to give tickets and all that. I said, but dude, I just don't have the heart to do it to you, man. I just can't. I'm a big fan of yours. I love what you're doing out here in the nation's capital. You're doing good work with the Wizards. Please, man, keep it up. And he was like, yeah, for sure. He was like, well, look, before I go inside, you know I'm putting you in a little bit of a rough spot. Would you like an autograph? I said, wow, yeah, that would be cool. So he took, all he had was a napkin. He bust out a little napkin from his car, and he, you know, wrote that. And sadly, I lost that napkin, but, you know, he gave me the napkin, and, you know, he went inside, and he was like, I promise I will be in and out, because I don't like, you know, I don't really like being around here in daylight, because, you know, people can spot me pretty easy. I said, yeah, I understand totally. So he went in, and about 5 minutes later, he came back out, and he was like, hey, you know, thanks again, man. I really appreciate it. I was like, yeah, no problem, man. And I mean, I just treated him like a normal fucking human being. I didn't scream. I didn't go running up to him. I was chilling. I think back then I was smoking cigarettes still. So I was smoking my cigarette, and I was like, and I said, hey, I said, you're Brendan Haywood. And he was like, yeah, man, how you doing? And, you know, he already knew who I was, because I had my whole mafia security suit outfit on and everything, blazer and all, and walkie-talkie in hand. And it was a really cool experience. But yeah, I mean, I've always had that mentality, even way before I started doing the podcast and everything. My mentality has just always been treat these people like fucking human beings, you know, and it just goes such a long ways, you know. So I'm not surprised that this type of behavior was displayed, and people that are just getting their panties in a bunch complaining, I mean, eat a big fat one. That's all I gotta say. Eat it and enjoy it. Seriously. Can I offer condolences to Sean Waltman? Sean Waltman, he had revealed on social media that his ex-wife, mother to his kids, had passed away. And when I heard this, I'm going, wow. And my heart really was just, oh, that's because I was just here on the show last week, and I remember briefly I was talking about the passing of my ex-wife and how it still kind of bothers me to this very day and everything. But he had said on social media that he was numb right now over the death of Terry, my wife of many years and the mother to my children. She lost her battle with mental illness and addiction. She had 2 other children, age 7 and 12, that my kids had to break the news to a short time ago. My heart hurts for them so bad right now. Now they tied the knot back in 1994 when she was 19, and as I mentioned, they had 2 children, son Jesse and daughter Caitlin, and they were married for about 8 years, right on up until their divorce in 2002. And that was pretty much a result of Terry basically saying, man, your drug addictions, all these problems you're continuing to have, I can't take it. I want to be done with you, and it's too toxic. And yeah, man, mental illness and addiction, that's a fucked up way to go out. You know, I wish that of all things that WWE continues to promote. I know they got the whole Connor's Cure and all of that other stuff, but mental illness and addiction, drug addiction, I really wish these were items that they could tackle a lot more and really put the spotlight on. I would like to see that happen throughout all forms of sports entertainment. I would like to see baseball, basketball, football. I like to see all of these guys handle that, but my heart definitely goes out to him. You know, I still don't know to this very day the details of how my ex-wife had passed away. I know there were a lot of times that she did deal with mental illness. She always threatened to kill herself, you know, and she was prescribed Xanax, and she would always talk about just overdosing on it. And I've tried reaching out to the family, I've tried reaching out to friends, and it's either a case where either nobody wants to comment on how she passed, or see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. I don't get no reply back whatsoever. It's one of those what the fuck, you know. But when I heard that from Sean Waltman, X-Pac, I just was like, oh man, you poor fucking dude. So thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family, and also thoughts and prayers go out to Santino Marella. Santino Marella, his older brother, I believe it's his older brother, had passed away. It's a little bit kind of dark right now as far as information, but apparently he had some open heart surgery sometime last week, or maybe like late last week going into middle part of last week, and everything, you know, normal procedure or whatever, and shortly afterwards passed away. So thoughts and prayers are with Santino Marella. Yeah, I'm like, wow, what the fuck. And also, see, what else did I want to get into on tonight's show here? I'm gonna make that a YouTube exclusive, and we talked about that one. Let's end it on this note. I'll end it on 2 notes. The first one, yes, before anybody asks, I have seen the photos of Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker. There were leaks that came out, and the director just decided, you know what, if some poor crap is going to be coming out, might as well put out real professional stills that'll really get people talking, and hopefully they'll be a little bit more convinced that we're taking this seriously and we're going in the right direction that it needs to be going into. And if you guys have not seen the images yet, I would definitely encourage you to go on social media and look them up. There's probably like about maybe up to 20 images that's floating around on the web that you can see. Good professional official release stills from this upcoming Joker movie. We were here on the show last week, and for some reason I was under the impression 2018 this was going to be coming out. But no, this movie is not supposed to be coming out until October of 2019. So major correction need to say to you guys. So I do apologize for that misinformation from last week, but I like what I'm seeing so far. I know that sadly we're going to continue to have people that are going to want to compare every single incarnation of the Joker and that respective actor that's portraying the Joker. We're always going to have the comparison to the Heath Ledger. We always are. And I get that. I know that his performance was just, yes, I'm with you guys. But I think that is so unfair because so much time has passed since Heath Ledger passed. DC Comics, they on purpose allowed for so much time to go by until they felt the timing was right to revisit the Joker character again. And to continue to have people say, oh, well, it ain't gonna compare to Heath Ledger's Joker. You know, for me, we shouldn't go down that route. I think, if anything, Joaquin Phoenix has a notorious record for being a great method actor. I mean, he's almost right up there with his rigorous training and preparation for a role. He's almost right up there with Rod Steiger. I haven't seen anything like it since, maybe early Al Pacino and De Niro. I haven't seen anything like it since. So to see this guy in his early 40s still going out there and really wrapping himself into these roles, really living out these characters, and that's the thing that I also love about Phoenix. Phoenix takes on these roles like he has shot down so many scripts. He is very particular about the projects he latches on to, right? And he's done pretty damn well for himself. To see him attached to this Joker, some of the things that he said about what's attracted him, I get it, I can see it. And for me, I just feel that everything is off to a good start right now. I know some people are going, not totally convinced. Need to see like maybe a 30-second trailer or something. I need to see how they're going to be doing this. I don't really want to put all the eggs in the basket just yet. I need to see a little bit more, but to see the unfair comparisons already, oh, nothing tops Heath Ledger's. And then to see people even go, it's not going to touch Jared Leto. But then you have a majority of people saying, well, anything's got to be better than Jared Leto. But I think when it's all said and done, the way I look at it, and this is the comic book fan in me speaking here, and I think this is the best way I can apply it to those that maybe have never picked up a comic book in their life. They just saw the comic book movies, and it's pretty much from that standpoint. The reason why I can detach myself from, okay, well, now this actor is playing this role, etc., etc. The reason why it's easy for me and other fans of comic books, comic book readers, reason why we're able to just, okay, clean slate, let's see what happens, is because we see some of our favorite artists draw some of our favorite characters on a monthly basis for a good amount of years. And then there comes that time when that artist moves on to another series. And sadly, when that artist moves on to another series, though they may be still with Marvel or they still may be with DC, they've reached their run. They've decided maybe it's time to move on to something else. They're no longer drawing Spider-Man. Now you can catch them drawing, Captain America. Okay, well, damn, who's going to be drawing? There used to be a point in time where I could not stand the artwork of Joe Ramada Jr. when it came to Spider-Man. I did not like it. I think one of the main ones he used to draw, he would draw Spectacular Spider-Man, and from time to time he would draw Amazing Spider-Man. I used to hate when he would draw because I felt his artwork was too damn blocky. It was like, no, how is that possible? Like, these images, they don't feel moving. Like, I'm flipping through the pages, everything just feels like boxes, the way he would draw his characters. And I'm like, then this is John Romita Jr. I'm talking about, and I couldn't stand his style. And you gave me a Spider-Man comic book that was drawn by Mark Bagley. Anything with Mark Bagley, I could eat that shit up. And I would be mad when I didn't get a joint with Mark Bagley or whatever. But then as the years progressed and I saw the progression in John Romita Jr.'s artwork, I finally was able to, okay, all right, I see he's being a little bit more lucid now. It's not as blocky. Okay, I can kind of get behind this now. And I started to like him. And then he left the series and he went on to... So, I mean, we as comic book fans, comic book readers, we've become accustomed to, okay, all right, so that artist is done. Okay, now this artist is going to step in, and now we're going to see through their eyes how they envision, how they interpret Spider-Man and everything. And it always what keeps the characters fresh and everything like that. So when you say to me, oh, well, this person is now going to be the Joker, I say, okay. And I see the still images. Okay, looks great. Need to see a little bit more, but it's off to a really great start. What I think most people should be homing in on is, given how much of a success this Joker movie will be, if it's banging like that, will DC try to court Phoenix for other future projects? And could this be a situation where once Jared Leto has met his commitments, because he's only signed on to be Joker for a couple of more movies, so after he meets all of those commitments, given how popular this Joker movie with Phoenix is DC maybe going to try to court Phoenix to replace Leto? And if so, is it going to be a situation where, you know, I mean, you can only wonder, because like freaking Phoenix has shown a track record, he don't do sequels. So how you gonna, ain't that much amount of money in the world that can make you, you know, so what are you gonna do? It's a very interesting dynamic, because as it stands right now, we've got two Jokers in the DC movie universe that's running around right now. It's a great time to be a comic book fan and everything. And I agree with what some of the people basically had said when they saw some of these images from this Joker movie. A lot of people had said, you know what, this is where DC Comics should have gone once the Dark Knight was over. Like, this is the direction, like after the Dark Knight trilogy, like this is the direction that they should have gone into, eventually going, setting up the Superman and Superman, Batman, Man of Steel, you know, Dawn of Justice and all that shit. Wonder Woman's fine. That thing is fantastic. She's doing pretty damn good. But time will tell. And I think if I were a betting man, I had said this on Facebook, if I were a betting man, I would suspect that possibly by Super Bowl 2019, I just have a feeling, maybe during the halftime show, maybe we'll get a world premiere trailer that'll have us all talking, and we'll really get our first taste of what's to come for this Joker movie. Because I mean, if there was ever a time to have eyes talking, that would be that point in time. So I can't wait to see how that's going to be coming about. Other than that, let's see, is there any other topics I want to get into? I think there might have been one more. I'm just looking in the show notes. Yes, and I want to end it on a positive note here. Two positive notes. Lil Zane, shout out to Lil Zane. Lil Zane talking about how something erupted in his stomach because he ate too many hot flaming Cheetos. You can't make this shit up. He's showing little clips of himself in the ambulance truck riding to the hospital. Brother, I've been eating hot Cheetos since I was 5 years old. I remember the days where me and my friends were kicking back, eating on hot flaming Cheetos, drinking our little juicy juice, and eating them like it was nothing. Now, some of our friends would be going, ha, 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 and we'd laugh at them, you know, and that might have been us the first couple of times that we had them, but we grew accustomed to it, and I'm telling you, I can go almost a whole year without eating a bag of hot Cheetos because I rarely have a taste for it. But when I do have a taste for it, I can eat them son of a bitches back to back to back. I remember one time my girl brings home a bag of flaming hot Cheetos, and I'm just going through them, and she goes, damn, babe, your stomach ain't hurting? I'm like, no. You want some? I don't like that shit. I'm like, well, you missing out. Then I remember another time she brought home those jalapeno cheddar Cheetos. I'm like, this is laughable. This ain't nothing. Like, seriously, you are a pussy in my book as far as I'm concerned because of... No, I think something else seriously was going on with Lil Zane. I think it's more than just because to then put out the fucking disclaimer about, oh, Don't eat hot Cheetos, everybody. It's like, no, 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 no. You don't eat hot Cheetos because hot Cheetos is fucking you up, all right? Be real, man. Don't be spending that out there. And then the other thing I want to get into real quick, and this story ends on a positive note. But when I first heard this, I actually felt really bad for the kid, you know. There is a kid on YouTube. He has a account. He is the AJ Awesome Show. And this kid had recently participated, if the name sounds familiar to you guys, the kid had recently, he's probably like maybe 9 years old or whatever, but he participated in the All In weekend event. So he actually was there. He was part of StarCast RAW and everything, and he was interviewing folks, all that. And it's really cool how the parents, they're basically seeing that their child has a love for pro wrestling and how they want to talk to different wrestlers and all that. And AJ's Awesome Show's Twitter account was suspended because Twitter was like, hey, you're not of the age, blah, blah, blah. And as a result of that, no, we're suspending your account. And this had created such an uproar on social media. I initially had found out about it from another wrestler that was tweeting about it, and that's how I read up on it. And I'm going, and I put a tweet out there. I said, hey, I said, this is wrong on so many levels. Like, you know, it doesn't appear as though the kid is actually tweeting stuff out there. It seems like maybe his parents are doing it. I'm going, you know, look, compromise, right? It should be easy. Give the kid back his account, but put in the bio that the account is being managed by the parents. They're the ones that's doing the posting. They're handling media inquiries, things of that nature. Problem solved. And ultimately, that's what had happened as Twitter did go on ahead and reinstated AJ's Twitter account. So I'm glad that Twitter loosened up and stopped being a dick, and they did what they had did. You know, because it's nice seeing young kids like this. You know, it's nice seeing young kids get into the whole podcasting field. And, you know, I know some people are like, yeah, come on, man. Why the talent is... You can't beat a little kid holding a microphone, especially when the kid looks kind of cute. And, you know, what do you like to do in your spare time? You like cheeseburgers, or do you like hamburgers? I think it's kind of cute that you have. But no, the young man, I like that the parents, they've adapted to this kid's hobby, and they are just really riding him out. That's really great parenting. I love that. And I think that with regards to the power of good parenting is being a good listener. When you see that your kid has a knack for something, you do your best to embrace it, encourage it, help enhance it, and really bring it to the forefront. So it's really nice to see his parents get behind this. And I tell you what, if the kid continues to keep at it, I mean, I just feel in my heart of hearts, this is a kid that we're going to be watching for many years to come, assuming he doesn't grow tired of the wrestling and everything. I mean, the way his parents have set this kid up, I mean, if he does this right, he could be around for the next 10, 15 years, and we can be watching this guy grow before our very eyes. I can tell you, when I began this show back in 2011, I had people that were either in high school still, and like they're now maybe in their college years, or, you know, they got out of high school and maybe now they've been in the middle of college. Or it's really funny when I hear people say, oh my God, I used to watch you while I was in school. I can't believe you're still around doing this. And I see this question that's being asked, WWE signing Brooke Adams. What is you guys' obsession with Brooke Adams tonight? Well, you know, the show's over. Shout out to Tony. Shout out to Mark. Shout out to Noah. Even though he was being an ass. Shout out to Beyonce's, whatever that handle is. Beyonce's Mega Man, even though he was being an ass. Who else we got? Shout out to Seymour. Shout out to Ricardo. Who else we got in here? Shout out to Noah. Who else we got here? I think I got everybody. Shout out to everybody who's going to be checking this out on demand and on the download. So Patreon, you guys will be getting a new exclusive RCWR show. We'll be talking about the next episode of the Mae Young Classic. We'll be talking about that. Also be talking over some wrestling news items. One thing that I did not get into on tonight, we'll talk about it. I'll talk about that exclusively on Patreon, but I may release it as a audio excerpt, which is WWE meeting with Impact Wrestling. I want to talk a little bit more about that. We'll talk all about that Wednesday exclusively for Patreon. So do consider signing up. $5 a month. You get access to exclusive, great bonus content. Yeah, check that out. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I went a lot longer than I was supposed to because I started to feel a little bit better. So that's the only reason why. Otherwise, I would have ended the show a lot sooner. But it's really past the limit for me. So I'm definitely going to stick a fork in it and call it done. But get at me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Use keywords the RCWR Show. And for those of you not able to join us on Patreon at this point, your next edition of the RCWR Show will come at you guys on Tuesday, October 2nd, 2018. We'll catch you right back on here after SmackDown goes off the air. Until then, I'm wishing all of you guys to be safe. Most importantly, be kind to one another. I will see you guys next go around. May the good news be yours. Everybody, do take care.